All right, good morning. This is for Elements Calculus 2. I think the sound is on. Uh, we are going to go ahead and look at some of the problems on the preview final. One of them is 9a. This is, I think, one of the types of integrals that you guys have to deal with that is probably the most confusing, and I appreciate that. So the idea here is, look, there's what's going on inside the square root. Like you can't put the x cubed in here. We can't do that because it's inside of a square root. We can't distribute over a square root. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to, okay, so my obvious choice is let u is equal to 1 minus x. Du, of course, is equal to negative dx. So we've just put a negative in there. We'll be okay. When you see this, okay, there's nowhere for me to go. I can try to start dealing with the u, and I can say, okay, this is u to the 1/2 power. I've got a negative dx here, du here because of this piece, and then I've got an x here, and I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do with this. When you run into this situation, like I don't know, what you should do is you could recast the integral in terms of x, or recast the substitution in terms of u rather than u. Okay, in terms of x rather than u. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, if u is equal to 1 minus x, well then x must equal 1 minus u. Okay, all I did was add x to both sides, subtract u from both sides. So we're going to say, okay, well now this is 1 minus u cubed. And now what I could do is I can multiply this out, multiply by the u to the 1/2, and then integrate the whole thing. I still can't really deal with what's going on here. I can't just do this. Okay, it doesn't work like that. So what we have to do is we have to do 1 minus u cubed. Okay, the one on your final is not this hard. Okay, so we're just going to say, okay, this is 1 minus u, 1 minus u, 1 minus u, and we're just going to multiply this out. So the easy one, 1 minus 2u plus u squared. I just multiplied this out really quick by foiling it. 1 minus u. And then what we have next is we're going to say, okay, we're going to distribute the ones. We have 1 minus 2u plus u squared. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to multiply everything by negative u. So we have 1 times negative u, which is negative u. We have a minus, I'm sorry, plus 2u squared. That's this u times this negative 2 here. And then finally, we have a minus u cubed. And then we're just going to go ahead and add. So this is going to be 1 minus 3u plus 3u squared minus u cubed. I'm going to put that in my integral. So we're going to have something like this. So I'm going to say this is 1 minus 3u plus 3u squared minus u cubed. All of this times the square root. So this is u to the 1/2 power. There's a du. I'm going to put a negative out in front so I don't lose it. And now you can go ahead and distribute this. So this is going to be negative u to the 1/2, okay, plus 3u. Well, this is u to the 2/2, so we have u to the 3/2 here, minus 3u to the, this is really 4/2. 4/2 plus 1/2 is going to be 5/2. And then we have 6/2. 3 is a fancy way to write 6/2. 6/2 plus 1/2, so we have plus 6u to the 7/2. Now, when I want to integrate this thing, it's all with du's. We could go ahead and just integrate this right across the board. So this is going to be a negative u to the 3/2 times our 2/3. Okay, plus 3, we have u, we're adding 1 to the exponent, so 5/2 times 2/5, okay, minus 3u to the 7/2 times 2/7, okay, and then finally plus u to the, we're adding 1, 7/2, we're going to get to 9/2 times 2/9 plus c, don't forget that part. And I think I got all of my negative signs kind of sorted out. We'll just make this pretty now, and we'll say, okay, we have negative 2/3. What the heck was u? U going back was 1 minus x, wasn't it? So we have 2/3, 1 minus x to the 3/2, plus 2 times 3 is going to be 6/2, 1 minus x to the 5/2, minus 3 times 2. This is the times here. This is going to be 6/7, 1 minus x to the 7/2, And then finally, plus 2/9, 1 minus x to the 9/2 plus c. And that would be my answer for this piece here. Okay, so I know these are a little bit tricky, but generally what you're looking for is some kind of an a power of x, maybe x by itself, x squared, something like that, with something terrible inside of a square root or in a fraction that you can't really deal with. And generally, if you have your du equals some kind of a constant with dx, like that's a clue to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's one of these kinds of problems, especially if nothing else fits. That's when you should use this. Okay, thank you very much for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next problem. Thanks.